Alrighty, guys, welcome to this training, this banking system training, a system that forces success. Okay, this is the banking system that changed my life and my business. We're going to go over mastering the habits, the allocation, and the process that makes your business permanently profitable, structuring your finances so profit becomes automatic, not accidental. How many times do we scale our business, or how many times do us as entrepreneurs get into business and we hear some common things, right? We hear the misconception that when you start a business, you should reinvest all your profits back into the business. Okay, that's actually a terrible idea, and we're going to solve that problem here in today's training. Second thing is we hear a misconception of the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. That is a terrible piece of advice and highly misunderstood. We may or may not solve that in this training as well today. Okay. So, what I want to go over with you guys today is a simple banking system. But before I dive into it, let me share some things to pre set up our mindset going into this training. If you have been a business owner and you're a veteran business owner, you may have owned a brick and mortar location, a cafe, a restaurant, something local, and you've been doing this for 15, 20 years, you are a creature of habit. You already have habits. You're going to learn this training, and you're not going to want to do anything in this training to make your business better because the old ways is the only way you know. If you are a bookkeeper or you are an accountant, or if you're a business owner and you have a bookkeeper or an accountant, they were trained a specific way, and this is going to be uncommon to traditional methods. I will use the example as a real estate agent. Okay. Real estate agents go to school, and if you're a real estate agent, don't take this personal, but it's true. Okay. And you know this is real estate agents go to school for 2 weeks, and they don't know and in those 2 weeks they learn everything about the contract of a real estate transaction in a traditional format. So when an investor comes in and they want to buy a property in a creative way, a real estate agent is most likely going to lean on, that's illegal, we can't do that. And it's not illegal, or we can't do that, right? If it's this creative structure, is that they were never taught about real estate investing. So a real estate agent really doesn't know about real estate investments, how to invest into real estate, all the tax benefits of real estate, all the strategies behind real estate. They know the legal contract in traditional buy and sell agreements for homeowners. So implementing something new is hard, is where I'm getting at. Okay. And so we are creatures of habit. And the whole process of United States entrepreneurs and my program, which is Inside the Mind, is mastering your habits so you can master your life, mastering new habits that could create success. For all of you business owners who are new, maybe you're a Gen Z entrepreneur, maybe you are older, maybe you're in your 50s and your 60s, but you're starting a business for the first time. This training is honestly best for you, because if you adopt these habits now, it'll help you long term. Now, I'm going to go quick through this training. I'll try to give some examples, but what's really good is if you're watching the recording, is it's a recording, so you can always revisit it. Two, you could probably watch this recording on 2x speed and still understand everything, because I do explain things very slow and as simple. So 2x speed can help too as well. So it's up to you, but it's recorded so you can continue to revisit this as well. Now, last thing before we dive in, Parkinson's law. Okay, Parkinson's law explains that we adapt to what we proportionately allow ourselves to have. A good example is if you are cooking dinner and you have a big plate, right? Thanksgiving, and you load up that plate with food, you're going to eat that entire plate. But if you shrink the plates and you offer smaller plates and you put the food on a smaller plate, you will eat all that food, right? So whatever you fill up the plate is, you will consume. We're going to use the plates and the trays, right? The serving trays and the plates as examples throughout this theme through the banking system, meaning you have your checking account, which is your serving platter, and then you got your sub checking accounts, which are your plates, right? And we allocate to these plates. Secondly, these case studies have been done with, I would say, over 100,000 businesses implementing this system. Okay. We took a part of this training is more than 500 companies in the Fortune 5,000 list in every single industry studying their data, revenue data, on where they at in their business and how do they allocate their funds. Okay, so I promise you, if you do this, you will be more confident in your business. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so first we're going to start off with business allocation. One last thing before we dive in, guys, is I'm going to go over business first, and then I'm going to go over personal as well. So how do you pay yourself as a business owner and manage your personal finances? And if you know somebody who doesn't have a business, they don't plan on being a business owner, you could still send them this video. And in the personal allocation section, when we get to that part of the training, which is the back end of the training, they can master their money in their personal lives as well. Also, I would have them watch this one because when they understand how business works, they'll probably understand why they can't get a pay raise at their job yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to dive into business allocations, and what this is going to be based off of is what's called a real revenue range. Real revenue range is the money you have. It's your net gross, right? So you got gross income, then you got net gross to the business, right? Not net profit, net gross. Meaning, let's say you have a window cleaning business and it costs, I'm going to do a corporate building. Let's say it costs $500 to do that building. And let's say after all the materials, you paid the sales rep commission, all the materials, and you paid the technician, you have $250 left, right? So your real revenue is $250. From there, you got profit, taxes, owner's compensation, operating expenses, and that breaks down. Let's say if you are a website design company and you offer a website for $10,000, and I'll probably use website design services for this whole presentation because $10,000 is a reasonable price to pay for a website. Well, the cost to get that done is how much did it cost to acquire that lead? Let's say it cost you $500. And then let's say how much does it cost to have your team design and develop that website? Let's say it costs $1,000, right? So $1,500 all in for this website. It really, now you have your gross revenue range is, what is that? $8,500, right? So we're going to base that off of here. So this is what, and we're going to keep a notes tab right here to the left. So this is what my bank account looks like today. This is probably what your bank account looks like today, meaning you log into the app on your phone and you have your checking account. Inside of your checking account, you got all your money. And then you also probably have a savings account here with, maybe you got savings in it. I put $1 because you really don't need to use the bank's saving accounts, right? You're just wasting money there. There's no purpose for a savings account, in my opinion. Okay. So this is what it looks like. You did a job, you got 10,000. Now, what most businesses operate on and how we've been taught and trained in the traditional method is sales minus expenses equals profit. Meaning, if I have $10,000 in sales, but I pay $1,000 for marketing, I pay $1,000 for payroll, right? Or an independent contractor. I have about $1,000 in subscriptions. That could be your websites, that could be QuickBooks, that could be all these little subscriptions that add up. And then you got impulse purchases, right? $1,000. That could be like if you have an office, you need to go buy printer paper or ink, right? Or a new laptop or some sort of impulse purchase for your business that just comes up. It happens. So you spent $4,000. So we did 10,000 in sales. We minused all of our expenses. So our business actually has $6,000 in profit left over. Okay. I want to tell you guys that is completely wrong. That's how the traditional way. That's the old way of doing things. And it leaves entrepreneurs stressed and worried, and they have doubt and they have fear, and it gives them anxiety. And we do not want that for you. Okay. So here's what we do. You're going to go to the bank immediately after you watch this training. I would go if it's daytime today and you got time. If not, I would call the bank and schedule an appointment right now. I would even pause this and call them and do this, right? Because momentum follows action. You have to take action, right? And belief comes from action. So you have to take action. New habits come from action. So here's what we have in our notes. You're going to open up the following additional checking accounts at your bank. You can open up an unlimited amount of checking accounts under your business, right? Big corporations like Apple and Facebook have all these sub accounts where they can allocate their money and see where their business is at. So the first account we're going to open up is a profit account. In that profit account, we're going to allocate 5% of our revenue from our main checking account, the 10,000, immediately into this profit account. So we're going to have $500 allocated to that. Now we're going to follow this new process, which we have sales, $10,000 minus profit, $500 equals whatever's left is expenses. See, so now we're going to get out of the framework of sales minus expenses. Whatever I have left after I pay my rent, my bills, my employees, my etc., whatever's left at the end of that is the profit for my business. Oh, how stressful that is, right? But instead, the next deposit coming into your bank account is guaranteed profit if you follow this system, because you do this, right? You have $10,000 that comes in. You automatically take 5% and put it in a profit checking account. No ifs, no ands, no buts. So now you guaranteed yourself $500 in profit before you paid any bills, any expenses, right? Any independent contractors, anything. So let's continue. Then you're going to open up a tax account and you're going to do the same thing. But the tax account is going to be at 15%, and you're going to put $1,500 in there. This is based off a $10,000 sale, right? Or $10,000 hitting the income account. So you can see in your main checking account, you now have $8,000. 500 went to profit, 15%, 1,500 went to a tax account. Okay. Now the third account you're going to open up is your owner's compensation account. This is how you pay yourself, right? We've in the past that you should pay yourself first. But I didn't understand that concept when I was in business starting off. I started off in business when I was 16 years old, right? And I made $156,000 by the time I was 17 years old. And do you know what I did with that money? I paid myself first. You know what I thought that meant with me in my circle of influence? We thought pay yourself first was go buy the loafers, go buy the suit coats, go buy the car, go buy the most expensive apartment, right? We thought we were paying ourselves first, right? We were enjoying our money. That's not what that means. But I'll tell you what, this owner's compensation is the most important part of your entire business. And I'll tell you why. Because when we hear that concept that I talked about earlier, take all your profit and reinvest it back into your business, you could do that until you hit a certain point. You could say, I'm going to do that till I make $100,000 a year in profit, then I can start paying myself. If it takes you 5 years or 7 years to do that, you know how exhausted you're going to be, how annoyed you're going to be of your business, how tired you're going to be of your business. And you're going to be sitting in your room thinking of these thoughts of, why am I still doing this? Why don't I just hang up the coat right on the rack and just go get a job that pays me 80 grand a year and just live a comfortable life? Like, why am I doing entrepreneurship? Why am I building a business? Right? And we have those thoughts because we reinvest all our money into the business because we think that's the way to do it. It is important to pay yourself first. What that means is the owner's compensation account is 50%. So out of $10,000 that comes in, you're going to pay yourself. You're going to wire money from this checking account to your personal checking account at your bank, $5,000. How motivated and exciting would it be to see the reward you get from building your own business? We don't get to see that reward if we reinvest it back into the company every time. So you get a $10,000 invoice pay for building a website, right? Or you do a $10,000 construction job, whatever it is, and you pay yourself $5,000. You know how motivated you're going to be to keep going, right? Because you're reaping the rewards. You know how exciting your spouse is going to be when they see you pay yourself finally with your business and you're no longer fighting over finances because you're reinvesting everything back into the business. This is powerful. Some of you listening to this call right now have been running a coffee shop or a restaurant, and you lose money every month because you're taking money from 401k, you're taking money from your spouse's job that they're working hard for, they're making 50 grand a year. You're taking $1,000 a month from there and you're paying for your business, $2,000 a month from there, and you're funding your business to keep your business alive. And you've been doing it for 10 years. I know this because I do business consulting, and 80% of businesses are small businesses, right? 90% of businesses in America are small businesses, and they're not very profitable, if have any profit at all. So we'll dive into this as well. We'll talk about also, what do you do if you have business partners? Okay. What if I got a business partner and we're 50-50? We'll talk about that. Common sense, you just divide that number, whatever your percentage is here, and you split it. Okay. Then you open up the last account. Okay. And this is your operating expense account. And this is where you put 30% of the revenue in here. Now that's $3,000. Now you could see between profit, tax, owner's compensation, and operating expense, the $500, the $1,500, the $5,000, and $3,000 equals $10,000, which means your main checking account has $0 in it now. Let's go back to Thanksgiving and Parkinson's law, right? Here's your serving platter, and here are your plates, right? You got a plate here, a plate here, a plate here, and a plate here. And you allocate the food, the money, to those plates till the platter is empty. And now you eat proportionately, right? If all your money is here on the platter, you eat the whole entire platter, it's gone, right? But if you allocate your plate proportionately, you eat, right? You got your vegetables, you got your meat, you got XYZ, right? And so this is what it looks like now. So now with your operating expense account, otherwise known as OPEX, this account is how you operate your business. This is your business. This structure right here is your business telling you how to grow your business, right? So $10,000 came in. You do not have $10,000. You have $3,000, right? So no, you can't go pay for 5 laptops for the office because you only got enough money to buy one and have some expenses. Okay. Now, let's put some focus on 2 things. One is the debit cards here to the left. You'll notice there's no debit card for profit, tax, or owner's comp account. When you go to the bank and you open up these following additional checking accounts at your bank, you're going to say, hey, I want to open up 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 more checking accounts under my business. If you have a business owner, you can open up, depending on how many business owners you have, multiple at my bank. However, I only want a debit card for the operating expense account. You should already have a debit card for your main checking account, but you only want a debit card for this operating expense account. You don't want it for these 3 accounts. And if you do have multiple business owners who need or want a card for the OPEX account, meaning if somebody is going and getting, screen printed shirts for the company, right, for uniforms or embroidered hats, they don't need to call you and go pick up the debit card from you, right? They have their own. They could just pull it out and make a payment, right? Or if you got an office and they're out and about and they need to buy ink or printer paper, right? They could just do it because they got the card. They don't need to call you and go pick it up from you. So sometimes you can ask for multiple with each of your names on it. You guys all got your own card to this operating expense account. The second thing I want to put attention towards is the real revenue range. This is your business doing $0 to $250,000 a year. These percentages are matched up. Remember, I said 500 of the Inc. 5,000 revenue data was analyzed to come up with these numbers based off of a startup to $50 million a year, even $100 million a year, but $50 million a year. Okay. So the real revenue range is you're probably doing anywhere from 300 to 500,000, depending on your margins. In gross revenue, after the top line of the revenue is deducted, you're at around 0 to 250K in real revenue. Okay. So let's talk about additional bank accounts, because you could go even further with this operating expense account. Okay. You can open up another account. And let's say you get a credit card, a business credit card. Okay. And so you decide, you know what, I want to open up a credit card account. This is a cash account, not your actual credit card. And you'll notice, and you say, I want to allocate 2% of our revenue to this account. And this is what I recommend. This is how you can manage your credit card super well, make your payments on time, and guarantee your payments to be on time. Is you'll notice if you open up an additional account, let's say merchandise as well. Let's say merchandise is 5%. Let's say you're always ordering merchandise. This is good for like construction companies, right? Construction companies, I think, legally have to order new merchandise for their construction crews, I think like every quarter, if not every month or whatever, or like after 3 projects, something like that. So if you know you're always ordering merchandise, you can open up a merchandise account and you can say, I want to allocate 5% of our revenue to that account. But I want you to pay attention to something. Where do these percentages come from? 2%, 5%. Ultimately, you get to make that decision, but you deduct it from the operating expense account because you're still operating your business. You're just creating more visual allocations for you as a business owner and your accountant or whoever has access to your bank to understand where you're spending money and how you're spending money and how much you have to spend. Okay, so you'll notice, let's look at the OPEX account. It was at 30%, but you want to open up a credit card at 2%. You deduct it from the OPEX. So now your OPEX is 28% and your credit card's 2. But let's say you want to open up a merchandise and add it for 5%. Well, now your OPEX drops to 23%. So you're pulling the money from the operating expense account. It doesn't mean you're pulling it from the OPEX necessarily. It just means you're taking the OPEX and you're giving yourself that visual representation of what that looks like, right? And then you could get a card for the credit card account, you could get a card for the merchandise account, right? If you're using those accounts on file. Now, what I recommend with the credit card account is never use your credit card until you have the amount you're going to spend on your credit card in cash accrued here. So if you know, like, okay, I got $200 in my cash accrued account for the credit card, so you could go make a $200 payment on your credit card knowing you could pay it off, right? You don't want to be the business owner that hopes and dreams on the credit card that they're going to make it up somehow in sales down the road, right? You don't want to damage your credit that way. If you're a new entrepreneur, please follow that advice because it will save you and build your credit seamlessly, and it'll build your financial disciplines long term. Okay, so now let's take a look at this at real revenue range for 250,000 to 500,000, right? Your business is doing this much. This is more like your coffee shops in town, your restaurants in town. They do about 250 to 500,000 if you got one location. Okay, the percentages change. So here's A. When we go to B, profit jumps up to 15%. Taxes stay the same at 15%. Your owner's compensation drops from 50 down to 35, and you increase your operating expenses to 40%. Okay, these are empty, of course, because you can allocate the percentages there later. Now, that's understandable. You can pause and understand that later, and you can see how the money moves here. So now it goes to 1,000. When 10,000 comes in, 1,000 here, 1,500 here, 3,500 here, and 4,000 here. Okay. Now, if you're in column C, which is you're doing anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million in real revenue range, your profit goes up to 15%. Your taxes stays at 15%. Your owner's comp drops to 20%, and your operating expenses increase to 50%. Now, understand this. You're earning at column A, you're earning 50% of the revenue as owner's comp. So at a 250,000, you're making 125,000 in owner's compensation. But if you're doing $1 million a year and taking 20%, you're still getting paid more. You're getting paid $200,000, right, on $1 million. So your owner's comp still increased, but we have to adjust the percentages to match the growth of the business here. Okay. Now, I'll talk about taxes in a second too as well. Let's go to column D. If your business is doing $1 million to $5 million a year, your profit drops from 15% in column C to 10%. Okay. Your taxes stays the same at 15%. Your owner comp drops to 10%, and your operating expenses increase to 65%. Okay. And E, if you're doing anywhere from 5 million to 10 million in your real revenue range, your profit goes back up to 15%. Your taxes stays the same at 15%. Your owner compensation drops to 5%, and your operating expenses stays the same at 65%. Okay. And the last column we have is real revenue range from $10 million to $50 million. Okay, this is column F. Your profit increases to 20%. Your taxes stays the same at 15%, and I'll talk about that in a second. Your OPEX drops to 0%, and your operating expense stays the same at 65%. By the time you're doing $10 million a year or more in real revenue, you have put yourself as a business owner and the business owners, if there's multiple, on a salary, a guaranteed salary, or profit distribution. Okay. Let's talk about two things before we move over to business allocations and personal allocations here. Two things let's discuss. Let's discuss taxes and profit. Okay. Taxes first. I am not a tax attorney and this is not my legal advice, but I'll give you my business consultation advice, which is go hire a good tax attorney. And a really good tax attorney should do with tax write-offs, try to get this 15% that you owe in taxes as low as possible, right? I'll give you my experience. My tax attorney has been able to get me all the way down to about 2%, right, in taxes. And so what we do with this excess money, when your attorney calls you and says, Michael, you owe $200,000 in taxes, right? Or $20,000 in taxes, you can pay the IRS that money, or you could discuss with your tax attorney and say, okay, what can I spend this $20,000 on in my business to deduct from my tax liability, right? And they might say, if you have an office, or let's say you have a restaurant, right? If an office, you could buy chairs for the entire office, brand new chairs, right? You could buy a table, you could buy a new printer, you could buy things that are valuable in the office as a business expense, so you can deduct that money's going out of your bank account anyway. It's going either to the IRS, and if it's not going to the IRS, it better go to a business expense you can legally write off. Okay, and so if you're a restaurant, you could maybe buy a new fridge or a new freezer or new ovens, new stoves, right? New equipment for your team. So adjust this as necessary. If you're a digital entrepreneur, maybe you need to buy a new laptop, new desktop setups, right? New camera gear, all these different things. But if you owe $20,000 in taxes, ask your tax professional what you can spend that on to deduct it before the year ends. Okay, so you can also take it as a bonus pay for yourself, or you can take it as a bonus pay, what I do, to all my staff, all my employees, right? That will also increase your retention for your staff and your employees. But talk with your tax attorney. 15% is a good rule of thumb because, I think depending on what income bracket you're on, you could be taxed by the IRS up to 40%. You got federal taxes, state taxes. It's different everywhere. But if you're really good at writing things off, 15% should be enough to allocate towards the end of the year. Do not touch this money. Do not borrow from this money, right? You might be tempted to borrow from your tax account and from your profit account to go spend for operating expense stuff. Do not do that. But a good tax attorney will get you down lower and then tell you what to do with this money, okay? Now let's talk about the profit account real quick. I did not add it in this training as a slide, but I'll discuss it here. Here's what you do with your profit account. You take owner's distribution, a profit distribution, once per quarter, okay? And this is for all the equity owners in the business, proportionate to your percentage of equity. Now, let's say this quarter, let's go first, second, third, and fourth quarters. So January, February, March. By the end of March, you got $2,000 in your profit account. Profit distribution works this way. You take 50% of the profit, $1,000, and you distribute that out to your equity owners. If it's just you take $1,000 as a profit distribution, okay? Next quarter, now you got $1,000 in your account. Then you got April, May, and June. On June, let's say you make another $2,000. However, you have your $1,000 from the previous quarter. So you have $3,000 in your profit account. You take 50% of that. That's $1,500. And you pay yourself $1,500, right? Or distribute it, profit distribution, to all the equity owners based on their percentage. So now you got $1,500 in your profit account. Then you go to third quarter, take 50%, and it compounds. Your profit account will compound every single quarter while you deduct 50% every quarter as profit distribution. That's how that works, okay? So let's move on to the back half of this training, which is how do I pay myself from my business? Now I'm going to go fairly quick on this back end since you kind of got the concept now as we're rolling through this, okay? We got our real revenue range and we got our owner's comp. This owner's compensation is how you pay yourself. Now, as a business owner, here's what I recommend. Go to your bank or log into your app and you can set up an external business account. And that external business account is your personal bank account. With your business bank account, you can only do this if you are a business owner on the account. You can't do this with your employees and your staff and anything like that. But you as a business owner, your name is on the file for your business account. Therefore, you can link your personal business account as an external business account. And every 10th and 25th of the month, I take what's in the owner compensation account and I just wire transfer it to my personal bank account. Okay, so let's talk about personal allocations. I'm going to tell you guys right now, this personal allocation banking model changed my life in my personal life financially. I promise you it'll change yours, the way you live your lifestyle following this system. Okay, deposit the check into your main checking account. So we got our owner's comp, $5,000. Now, same thing with our business account. I bet if you logged into your app right now, your banking app, you probably only got one account in here, maybe two. You probably got that savings account, right? So you probably got one account, 5,000 comes in and you pay all your bills, your rent, your internet, your phone, your car payments, your gas, your groceries, everything from this one account. You have 5,000 in there. You just swipe, right? You want to go shopping, buy new shoes. You want to go to Top Golf. You want to go eat dinner with the family. You're going to pay for your excuse me. You want to pay for your kids' soccer gear, everything out of this one account. What you see is what you pay for. Parkinson's law, right? It's in one account, you spend it. That's what our brain does. I want to show you guys how to allocate your money now financially in your personal life. You're going to go to your bank and you're going to open up these checking accounts. The first account to open up in your personal bank account is going to be your debt/wealth account. Okay. This account is your wealth account. This is how you build up to invest. This is what your savings account is really. Okay. Because if you have a savings account, I wouldn't put money in the savings account. It doesn't matter. But you save to invest. You don't save for a rainy day. Okay. This is my advice to you is you save to invest, not save to save. Okay. However, you don't start building real wealth till all the bad debt is gone. So this is like any bad debt you have, whether it's credit cards, car payments, etc. You got to pay those things off first, right? Get rid of them. And so if you got $5,000 that came in, you're going to allocate 5%, $250 in there. And now you're going to start chipping away at credit cards. Now you got a game plan to chip away at bad debt. Once all that bad debt is cleared, any money that enters into here now turns into true wealth. You save to invest later. Into real estate is my recommendation, but you can invest into other things too as well. Then add the following accounts next. A give account. Okay. Good rule of thumb is you get what you give. Psychologically, we receive the most dopamine as a human when we are giving. Okay. So I allocate 10% into a give account and that's $500, $5,000. Now you got 500 in this give account. I'll give you two scenarios. I was at a gas station, right? And I was at a gas station filling up my gas at the pump. And someone walked by and they asked, this probably has happened to you, right? Hey, do you have $1 that you could spare, a couple dollars you could spare? I got gas. I just need to put some gas in my car, whatever, right? So what I do, and if you guys could follow what I do too, it's a good rule of thumb, is I take 50% of my give account and I withdraw it in cash. And I'll leave 50% in the account. And I actually have a debit card. When you're disciplined enough, you could get a debit card for this account. If you're not disciplined enough, I wouldn't touch it yet. Okay. So I put 50% of it in cash, 50% inside of the account. And the reason why I do cash is for this scenario that I'm telling you about. And so this person came and asked for money. And I left, I keep some of this money in my wallet, some of it in my center console in my car. And so I went into my car, I opened my door and I grabbed out of my center console. I just grabbed a bill, right? It was 5, 10s and 20s. Oh no, it was $5 bills, $10 bills, $20 bills, $50 bills. I don't have any ones. right? So they're all randomized. So I just went in there and I just grabbed one. Any of them works. The smallest bill he's going to get is 5. He asked for 1. And so I go, I grab it, and I just give him whatever I grabbed. I didn't even look because it's my give account. And so I give it to him, and he looks at me, he looks at it, and he looks at me, and he gives it back. And he tries to give it back. I'm like, no, that's for you. He goes, are you sure? And I look at it, and it's a $50 bill, right? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm sure. So he wanted to give it back because he thought I made a mistake. It was $50. I said, no, that's for you. You keep it. Have a blessed day, right? And so to me, it doesn't stress me out or it doesn't worry me because I put that money aside to give anyway, right? Some of you could put money aside to give at your church. I do it to give everywhere I can. Now, the money that is in the account on the card could be if I go out to a dinner or a restaurant and I got really great service, I could tip from this account, right? I could leave if my food was $20, but I got really great service, I might tip $100 just to be generous. But if it's in that account, if I got 500 in that account, I got 100 to give, I'm just going to give it anyway without thinking, right? It's not going to stress out me and my lifestyle and my bills because I have it allocated to give. And this is very powerful for your life, guys, because you will get what you give. I promise you that. It's a universal law of reciprocation. Now, the next account you're going to open up is an education account and put 5% in there. This education account is so you don't sit stagnant in your life. This isn't go home, watch Netflix, right, and just kill 2 hours of your day watching Netflix. Some of us watch, 4 hours a day on Netflix, whatever it is. We don't go home. We always want to be growing as a person. One of my favorite sayings is God's greatest gift to us is more talent and ability than we could ever hope to use in our one lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in our lifetime. And a big part of that is education. This is where you buy books and you start reading books. This is where you buy a course on something that you want to learn a skill set in. This is where you pay for programs and you pay for in-person trainings, classes, seminars, webinars, whatever it is, a mentor, right? You put money aside, and if a mentor is saying, yeah, I'll mentor you for, $10,000, well, you put that money aside till you got 10,000 and then you pay them, right? So education, you want to further your education. It's always important. Maybe not at the university level or the collegiate level because you really don't need that, but at a skill set level, you want to always be growing, okay? If you struggle with finances, go buy a finance book. If you want to learn real estate, go buy a real estate course, right? These are all the different things you could build and grow in. Now we get to what you guys have all been wondering, right? Man, all this work, I just want to enjoy my money, right? Well, you got to do that. Open up a fun account, put 5% into there, okay, and get a debit card for it. Now, this is very important. I'll give you a scenario. If I have, let's say, if I only have $250 in this account and someone calls me and they say, hey, Michael, we're getting together and we're going to go to Top Golf today at 2 p.m. After we go to Top Golf, we're going to go to dinner at Fogo de Chao, right? Well, between Top Golf and Fogo de Chao, that's about a $500 day. So I could log into my bank account. I look at my fun account, okay, and I have $250. I could politely decline. I could be like, you guys, you know what, guys, go enjoy Top Golf and Fogo. Unfortunately, I can't do that today. If you guys want, I could do this, and this. If you guys want to make adjustments, right? And you could recommend other restaurants maybe. Or you could say, you know what? I could go to Top Golf with you guys, but I can't make it to Fogo tonight, right? So now you have control. You have power over your fun and your decision-making in your life with a fun account. Right. And then if you have $1,000, $2,000 in that fun account, you're like, heck yeah. Matter of fact, Top Golf's on me. Right. And you buy Top Golf for everybody. So you get to have fun. You get to use that money. You can spend all this money in one day. You can spend it over a month. It is up to you. It is your money to have fun with. Right. Then you got your big purchase account. This is 5%. Right. And you start allocating money for a big purchase. This could be a vacation, which I recommend you plan 4 vacations a year. You're like, Michael, I can't plan 4 vacations a year. I don't got money for that. This is how you make money, make it happen, right? You set it on the calendar and you start putting money aside for it. A vacation. Maybe this is a house, a down payment for a house. Maybe this is a down payment for a car, right? Whatever, everybody's big purchase is different. But now you get to manage your money and see how close you're getting to that goal and actually have a roadmap and a game plan for your personal life. Okay, then I want to talk about other sub accounts. You can have other accounts, okay? So other accounts would be like, you can have, let's say you have, a spouse and a husband and wife. Well, you can open up an account for your wife, right? You can put 5% into that account. You could get her a debit card, and any money in that account she can spend. Maybe you have a kid and that your kid is in high school now. And so now they're in 8th grade, and now you can open up an account for them and you can put money into that account, right? For them. And so now you can start this ends up being, now I didn't change the percentages here on the living expense account. I didn't drop it from 100%, how I was doing on the business allocation, but you would deduct all these percentage wise here. Ultimately, we got what? We got 10, we got 15, 20, 25, 30%. So you would be living off of 70% of your income. Okay, right here, $3,500 when 5,000 comes in, 70% of your income, or 65% of your income if you open up a wife account, right? Now, this is based off of the real revenue range of you earning $0 to $100,000 a year personally, right? Not in your business, personally. So let's go ahead and finish off the call, and I'll go through the real revenue ranges in your personal life. This is column A. If you are doing, I did the percentages here. Here we go. In column A, you're living off of 70% of your income. Okay. In column B, if you're earning $100,000 to $250,000 a year, you'd be living off of 65% of your income. 5% into your debt wealth account, 10% into give. Your education increases to 10%, and your fun and big purchase stays at 5%. Now you move up to column C. You're earning $250,000 to $500,000 a year. Your living expense drops to 60%, and you increase your debt and wealth account to 10%, right? Then you move over to column D. You're earning $500,000 to $750,000 a year. Your living expenses drop to 55%, and you increase your big purchase account to 10%. Then column E is $750,000 to $1 million a year. You're living off of 50% of your income, and all your sub accounts now are at 10%. This is where I allocate all my money right now in my life. And there's a super advanced version that I won't dive into. But let's say I live off of 50%. I allocate 10% to my debt and wealth account, my give account, my education, my fun, and my big purchase account. Then you got your real revenue range of $1 million to $2.5 million. You increase your wealth account. At this point, you should be out of your bad debt. And now you increase your wealth account so you can start investing more into other things. So with all of that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you made it to the end, I promise you guys, hang up or stop this call, call the bank, schedule an appointment, go set up these accounts with your banker immediately in your business account and in your personal account, and start living a more fulfilled financial life. Okay. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback, wherever this video is posted, whether it be YouTube, our school community, any other course platform, just drop a comment below, ask your questions. Either my team will come in and answer them for you. But go do this. Action, action, action is how you change your life and momentum. I'll see you guys in any following changes or changes, programs, or trainings, okay?